Do you know CPR? Do you understand farming or gardening? We're going to talk here about spiritual CPR, which is really about the farming, gardening metaphor. CPR normally means cardiopulmonary respiration. In our context, it is about farming, gardening, cultivating, planting, and reaping. And this little CPR acronym describes both the stages your friends are at and the different approaches you might take with them based on where they're currently at spiritually. So, my assumption is that you've got these people in your life, you are already praying and paying attention. Some of them you may not know. They may not know you. You may not even know their names, but you're praying for them. Others, maybe you know on some basic level. And once even the basic acquaintance begins to be formed, they begin to fall into this cultivating, planting, reaping categorization. It's just a very helpful way of keeping track and understanding where people are at. Someone at the cultivating stage is someone that you're just building a basic relationship with. You might not yet be friends, but it's a relationship that could move towards friendship. Your acquaintances, you have some things in common. A relationship is being built. And you maybe begin to do some things together. In my experience, very commonly, one of the first things is, hey, a chat outside the door if you're in the same neighborhood or walking down the street. Maybe the next step is going somewhere for coffee or having them over to your place. But it's just this basic relationship building. And one of the very key practices in relationship building is to have some kind of common interest. The way you have a common interest, I was taught this years ago by a fellow named T.V. Thomas, great evangelism trainer. You can have a common interest with anybody simply by becoming interested in something they're interested in. You find out something about them, you start asking questions. And really, there's so many different areas of life and interests and hobbies that even if the specific hobby doesn't interest you, it is interesting. And you learn to ask good questions and allow the person to open up and share and find out why they're so passionate about it. That's just one little side note on cultivating and building relationship. Now, once you're at the stage of friendship with someone, where you're hanging out with some regularity or on a deeper level, they're going to tell you about their life and you're going to tell them about your life. And this is going to provide you with opportunities to tell your story. This is just something that happens with friends. And you might end up telling it in snippets, or you might at some point, based on something they've said, say, hey, can I tell you where I'm coming from? Can I tell you why I believe what I believe? Can I tell you, what I believe about God and what God's done in my life? And again, depending on the depth of the relationship, different approach you might take. So the planting level is you're telling your story and the story you've prepared, where it talks about before you came to faith and how you came to faith and what God's up to in your life now and some of the things, the hooks in your life that might relate to your friend. That's all taking place at the planting level. And the reaping level is, of course, where the harvest comes in. It's where we might be led by the Spirit to share the gospel with a call to response, where we share the gospel of who Jesus is and what he did and what it means to repent and believe and follow. And we lay it out and say, hey, are you there? And if you're in friendship relationship with them, it may be that they will ask you before you even think to ask. And all the way along, as you're praying for people and identifying where they're at, just keep asking the Lord, what's next? Here's my friend. We're just at this light relational level. Lord, what's next? And I've been amazed how the Lord will give very specific questions for me to ask people that will open the door and give a chance to go deeper. So when you have this little acronym, the CPR acronym in your brain, it gives you a sense of progress. It's not just they're unbelievers or believers, this total binary thing, which is true, but it's really, there can be a lot of seemingly nothing happening before they come to faith. But if you understand the progression from cultivating to planting to reaping, you can see progress happening. And the truth is, you might not walk through all three stages with the same person, but you, simply by the fact that you are praying for them and paying attention, you are going to be a part of what God is up to in their lives. You might cultivate and plant with someone else might harvest, or you might just meet someone and they've already been cultivated and planted, the gospel been planted in their lives, and you might be the harvester. And that's why it's great to have many people living on mission. There's a little principle we talk about often called the 7 and 7 principle, which is based on the idea that most people, to come to faith, need to hear the gospel in 6 or 7 different ways, different times, and they need to know several people who are actual, genuine followers of Jesus Christ. So, 7 presentations of the gospel, 7 different believers, and that leads very naturally to this next class, which is about team or corporate evangelism. But before we go there, take a look at your list of people you're praying for, and just identify, maybe right beside their name, a C, a P, or an R, about what stage they're at or what the next stage is at once you start building a relationship with them.